The Tie and Hoodie Show is sponsored by ICCLending.com. For real estate service, please go to ICCLending.com.
3, 2, 1.
Every human came to earth with a gift, and they must discover that gift and refine that gift for them to be fulfilled.
The prerequisite for spending time with any person is that they nourish and inspire you. They feed your flame.
Yo, hey man, how you work this radio?
You're not listening to the Tie and Hoodie Show.
Keep it locked.
Owning a home and paying it off is one of the data points of an everyday millionaire.
Home sales across the U.S. are on the rise as buyers take advantage of record low mortgage rates.
Good morning. Now let's get back to the Tie and Hoodie Show.
Good morning. It's the Tie and Hoodie Show right here on the world famous 93.5 K-Day. I'm your host, Trevon Smith, also known as Trey. This is my main guy, the president of ICC Lending, Andrew Ojesi-Koba. How you doing today, Andrew?
I'm doing good, my brother. I'm doing good. Another day, another Sunday morning. We're grateful for the opportunity. Yes, despite all the resurgence of the Delta, I'm sure people know that new word now. Delta. It used to be Corona. Now it's Delta. You know, right?
Yes, sir. It's a new word every couple months, and I'm learning that's becoming popular. Hey, so we just go with the flow. Hey, I mean, pretty soon it's gonna be a new word in 6 months. So everybody just get used to it, and we'll bounce where the ball takes us. Hey, today's guest, it's always something we love to talk about, bring to the community, education, like self-awareness, financial literacy. It's always talking about some means of financial freedom, and and overall, to get to generational wealth, some form or another, and with no further, delay, Mr. Sam Parker. How you doing today?
I'm good, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on. I do appreciate it, and hopefully I can bring some life to the subject of credit.
All right, that's what. Hey. We talk about that so much. I'm interested to hear a different point of view, because we try to embed this in our K-Day listeners' head. Take care of your credit. Take care of your credit. It's the core of your financial, your financial life, right?
It really is. It really is. People, they place all this importance on money. How much do you make, right? And that is very important, but equally important, if not more important in some situations, is credit. And you don't have to make a bunch of money to have great credit. You just have to take care of the opportunities that are given to you. And that is what's beautiful about the credit system, is that if you know how to play by the rules of the game, it can really level the playing field.
So Mr. Parker, you are, considered, you are well known, you're respected, you're credit expert. I know a little bit about credit, but I had to pay through my nose. I had terrible credit. My scores was way down in the 500. I think I had, you have 3 scores. One of my scores at one time was 490. It was so bad that I had to pay for everything. And a lot of people are listening right now, and they're like, oh, credit, here we go again, credit. It's a never-ending topic. Well, just give us a quick introduction. How did you get into this subject of credit repair in the first place?
Yeah, so I fell into it, and I was just like anybody and everybody listening. I had no idea how important it was. I was a 19-year-old. I was between semesters in college, and honestly, I was just on the phones. I hit the phones hard. I was good at it. And somebody got a hold of me, said, hey, listen, we want you to help run sales and marketing for a new financial services company. That's what they told me. And I said, sales and marketing for financial services? I'm only 19. This sounds like something where you straighten up the tie and walk in. I said, done, I'm there, dropped out of college, showed up. On this first day, I was one of 2 people in this little tiny office, and I was what head of sales and marketing meant was you're the only telemarketer for a brand new credit repair company. Yeah. And so that's what it was. They just set a stack of leads. I mean, I'm telling you, 4 inches thick in front of me with 100 names on each page. And all they told me was these people have bad credit, and that's their phone number. And so I was calling people at their homes unsolicited, at the time, and just saying, hey, I know you have bad credit. I'd like to help you with it. As you can imagine, a lot of people didn't appreciate that phone call, either that I knew they had bad credit, or how did I even get their name, and back then it was just they bought information from Equifax or something like that, right? And so what I saw though was an opportunity. I started to see how important credit was, and so I evolved that position a little bit to speaking to lenders and saying, hey, listen, instead of me going and calling Joe Schmo in his house while he's having dinner, how about when Joe comes to you for a home loan and he's serious about it, you just have Joe get a hold of me, or I get a hold of Joe. And people started liking that. The company I was working for didn't like it, because what they didn't tell me was that they were also running a mortgage shop out of kind of the back side of the credit repair company. So then when I flipped it to being referral based, that got rid of all of their built-in leads. So the problem also was that they didn't care about the client at all. All they wanted was to get the client just high enough to put them into a horrible loan situation, right? And so I just saw an opportunity. I saw an industry that was honestly kind of trash. I mean, most of the credit repair companies out there are taking advantage of people. They're charging up front. They're over promising. They're basically violating consumer laws, in my opinion. And then I saw the intent. All these credit repair companies, I was like, are you actually worried about getting people to the closing table? Are you actually worried about making their life better? Or do you just know that they'll sign up for something because they think that you're going to get rid of all their debt? So I just saw the opportunity to do good things for good people, where it was important. Credit's important. And so went off when I was 20, started a company, grew that for about 3.5 years, sold out to a competitor, just to get some more support. Running a business when in your early 20s sounds great, but it's very stressful. There's heart palpitations and ulcers and all that good stuff I wasn't expecting. Worked for that company for about 6.5 years. Had a very strong fundamental difference that made myself and most everybody at that company leave. And then we started My Credit Guy about 7 years ago, and we did it with the sole purpose of building it from the bedrock up, that we walk the talk, and that if we say something's important, we act like it. So the entire thing is just built to empower people, educate people, and ultimately get them ready to buy a home. Because if you can do that, then that credit, everything else should really fall in line. If you can qualify for a home loan, you should be able to qualify for pretty much anything.
Yeah, with that being said, I know a lot of people, we talk about credit all the time, and I understand the importance of credit. And I try to, at least talk to at least one person a day about their credit, or not about their specific credit, or say something to let people know how credit is important, because it leads to what I believe financial freedom, generational wealth, as I tried to say earlier. So can you just walk us through, number one, why is credit so important? I know you just said because if you could buy a house, you could pretty much do anything, but just for the layman terms of why is credit so important? How it separates you from interest rates and things like that. And, just to get the ball going to the people that might not even know anything about their credit except for going to get a car and getting denied.
Yeah. So ultimately it's an algorithm, right? It's a boiled down number that a bank can look at and see whether or not you are more or less likely to not pay them back. That's what it's all set up to do, is to show, is this person likely or not likely to not pay me back? Not to pay me back, to not pay me back. It's a risk-based model. So that's why when people are like, oh, I haven't even had that much. I just had 2 collections from a couple of years ago and then nothing else. What you just told me is that you only have negative items on your credit. If I were to look at your resume, okay, and I took all the stories away from it, okay? And that's the thing that people don't want to hear, is the life happens, and I'm not saying I don't feel bad about it. I'm saying the credit scoring algorithm doesn't care. So the sooner we get over the reason that happened was because I lost my job, or the reason that happened was because my kid got sick, or the reason that happened was because my ex took me for all I was worth, right? Unfortunately, none of that matters. So you got to learn how to play by the rules of the game. And once you can learn that, then you can really harness the power of credit. And so first of all, you got to understand to use it as a tool, and that it doesn't care who you are, what your circumstances are, right? And so once you start looking at it as a resume, where those two collections, and then you haven't even ever had any other credit. If I'm looking at it like your financial resume, you've had 2 part-time jobs that call, no showed to, right? And then you're coming to me asking me to hire you. Yep. That's the apples to apples comparison I want to make, is like a financial resume. It looks at your opportunities and what you've done with them. Now, some of that's not fair. Your kid got sick and you got a bunch of collections. I get that. That's kind of out of your control, but it's still the rules of the game. So once you understand, here's why I got to take care of these, even though that sucks, then you can move through that. Then once you understand the rules of the game and you start being on the other side of it, where you can say, instead of I went to get a car and they denied me, and then I had to go down the road and I got a crappy car for 18% interest, and then you start this cycle where that car is going to break down, you're going to owe on it, you're not going to want to pay on it because it doesn't work. Now you're going to have a repo on your credit. Then when you go for the next car, right, and then this cycle keeps happening. Now, when you go enough's enough, this is a stupid game, but I understand it's a game, and I understand there's rules to it, and I'm going to understand them. So first I'm going to spend 2 months, right, hardcore getting my credit up. I'm going to bump my credit up 75 points in the next 2 months, and then I'm going to get a car. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, the interest rates start working for you. Now, all of a sudden, the ability to borrow someone else's money at historically low interest rates allows you to use other people's money to build your own wealth and then generational wealth. There is, unless you strike oil, hit the lottery, or get some multi-million-dollar contract and then spend your money very wisely and invest it, none of us are ever going to have the time to create that sort of wealth that we can leverage borrowing someone else's money, right? Like I can go and I can borrow $1 million in the next couple of weeks, and I can take advantage of a huge opportunity. I do not have $1 million in my bank account right now to spend, and I won't have that accumulated liquid for quite a while, right? So once you start realizing, like, you're not a victim of this. You're just not loving it right now because it's not working for you. But once you get it under control, this will give you access to other people's money at low interest rates that you and your family can benefit from. Yes. So it's just that whole outlook on credit. It's not this big bad thing coming to get you. It's just like a wild horse you got to tame, right? And once you tame it, it's awesome. You get to ride it.
I like your explanation how you did that. I like that a lot. I think it breaks it down for everybody, just kind of get a different a different view of it. And I like the way you did that. Go ahead, Andrew, my bad.
No. I was about to say the same thing you just said. But there's still this, you know the rules. A lot of people who get into trouble with credit, they don't know the rules. Yep. They don't know how things work. So now, this is a show that we can do for 10 years, obviously, right? But we only have literally about 15 minutes to go on this show. So, but there's so much to unpack. How do what's your advice? You're an expert at this. What's your advice in terms of managing you as a person, even though you know the rules? For example, I know that I shouldn't buy that new car because, if I buy the new car, my neighbor is going to come around and say, wow, nice car. But I know my payment is $1,100 a month and I can't sleep at night, and I only make $3,000 a month and I'm paying $1,100 a month for a car. Stupid idea, right? Or stupid action. What's your advice? People knowing the rules and still making a mistake.
Geez, this gets almost, I'll sound less like a credit coach and more like a life coach once I go down this route. But it's very true that you have to get real with yourself about what a win is, right? Is a win to fake being rich and to look good to your neighbor? Or is a win to drive something that's maybe not quite as cool for the next 2 years, but then to be able to buy an investment property that cash flows positive, that then now 5 years from now, you're buying your own property outright, but then using the equity in it to buy another property. It's just this whole thing of like, what Do you want to play make-believe or do you want to be real? If you want to be real and have real success in this life and pass that on to your kids, because you can't, if you're trying to fluff yourself up and look cool and buy flashy things, but really you're broke, you can't pass that diagram on to your kids to create generational wealth, because even if something got passed to them, they would blow it all because they don't actually know how to manage money. So the question for every individual I ask is, because obviously if we're still doing this, right, like our parents, mine included, that didn't teach me about credit. So who's going to be the first one to do this? Somebody has to raise their hand and go, you know what, enough. It's all fake. I can barely afford to get this car, but then this car is the most expensive thing I have and it runs my life. And oh my God, if it broke down, I'd be screwed, right? So somebody, somewhere along the way, hopefully the people listening to this go, you know what? That's right. I'm focused on the wrong things. I need to be real with myself, get my credit score up so I can get a nice, boring, something that makes money. The flashy stuff is down the road. It's just not time yet for most of my borrowers, right? It's like first things first, like you've got to get to work for the next 3 to 5 years. You'll get flashy things. You'll get amazing things. You'll have a ton of money in your bank account, but you haven't been down that path right now. And so you can't expect just to jump over to it. There's some work in between here and there, right? But 3 to 5 years, I mean, that flies by. It can be done faster too, but I'm just saying, like, max 3 to 5 years to go from a 480 credit score to financial freedom. Like, somebody can do that if they were disciplined, but they got to be real with themselves.
Yeah, most definitely. If you're just tuning in, it's the Ty and Hoodie Show right here on 93.5 K-Day. We're talking to the one and only Mr. Sam Parker. He's a credit specialist. I want him to give his information out next, but I also want him to answer this question. When should somebody with credit problems come see you? But please give out your information and where people can contact you at.
Absolutely. So if you go to our website, it's really easy, mycreditguy.com. You'll be able to fill out a free consultation form. Make sure to say that you came from the Ty and Hoodie Show. We'll give you a special discount, start the free consultation. And I'll tell you, about 40% of the people that come over to us, they don't even need my services. They just need me to tell them what to do next, right? And that doesn't cost a thing. And so what we would do is we would look at their credit report at no cost. We would draw up a game plan. We would tell them what they need to do, what we're going to be able to do for them. And if they say, hey, listen, that sounds great, we can get to work for them. Or they can take the game plan that we draw up with them and they can go to work themselves if they want. And then we give a ton of videos out. And I'm not trying to do too many plugs here, but our YouTube channel.
Hey, you got time. Go ahead. Go plug.
Right.
Yeah.
So our YouTube channel, okay, it's just, if you go to YouTube and then search My Credit Guy, you'll see a big check mark. That's our logo. Click on it. You're going to find about 40 videos there that if you watch that, if credit was really important to you and you watch that, you would know just as much as any one of my employees in their first month of working for me, because that's exactly where I have them start, is those videos. I've answered basically every question. I've explained the why on all of it. I've explained how to treat your credit on a weekly and monthly basis to have super high credit scores. And so there's one, phrase that I use with our staff a lot, right? Like, we want to be the best credit repair company. We want to have amazing customer service. And there's a lot of people, a lot of companies out there. Most will say, I want to do this or this or this. And then I always ask this or say this, I go, well, then let's act like it. Right. And so if you're acting like if you say credit is really important to me, and I say, why? And you say, well, I want to get a home. For who? For my family. Oh, okay. Now we're getting there. Yeah. Now we're getting to a real why. Now, is it important? Is it so important that you would spend some time studying it? And they go, yeah, absolutely. Then I just say that. I go, then act like it. Because if you're acting like it, if I show you one YouTube channel that can take you from 0 to 99 in terms of credit knowledge, would you spend the next 2 hours watching those 40 videos? You would, if it were really that important to you. But all that information I have boiled down into 1.5 to 3 minute videos, and it just explains everything nice and neat. Credit after a divorce, credit after a bankruptcy, why you shouldn't co-sign, why credit cards give you a ton of power in terms of increasing your credit scores, why you should never buy an authorized user account. All these things I have boiled down into quick little videos somebody can go from feeling powerless to pretty powerful within a couple hours.
Great info right there, Sam.
So if you're just joining, you're hearing the credit expert, Sam Parker, mycreditguy.com, Sam Parker, mycreditguy.com. So just go online, mycreditguy.com. I want to ask a question, which I know is very familiar. I hear it as a mortgage professional. I hear this all the time. Oh, Credit Karma says my credit score is great. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so the misinformation that's left out there makes Credit Karma look worse than it is, because it's a great tool to check your credit out for free and to keep tabs on it. Now, what the expectation is, and the expectation that they allow to be set themselves without clarifying, is that this score would be valid for mortgages. This is my real credit score, right? And it's not, when you consider your real credit score, the FICO score that a lender pulls, and that's the mortgage specific score that only a lender can pull, right? So when that's your expectation, and then the credit scores are significantly higher than that, then you're thrown off and Credit Karma looks really bad. If you're looking at Credit Karma or any of those other sites to just purely keep an eye on your credit, which you should do, it's an excellent tool. It really is. It's free. I would prefer somebody to go to like myfico.com and to pay, this is what they're not going to want to hear, pay $40 a month to have your real FICO score. And that's why people are like, oh, no, I want something free. And then they get Credit Karma and then they go, oh my God, the free thing's not as good as the $40 thing, right? Well, here's the reason why. The Credit Karma is set up on the Vantage scoring model, not FICO. They're two totally separate companies. And basically what FICO is it's a third-party independent company, Fair Isaac and Company. And they created this algorithm, and then the bureaus pay to like use that algorithm, right? And that's the one they use. Now, what the bureaus did, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, they teamed up and then they created the Vantage score that then they sell out like to the public or to websites or whatever. And the one thing I'll tell a client about this is if you're not paying for a product, you are the product, right? So these are just ways that big companies are getting your information. But there's a couple things just to keep in mind. The Vantage score does not calculate exactly like the FICO score. There's little things that are weighed more heavily, less heavily. So because of that, you're going to have a difference in the credit score. And medical collections, if they're paid, don't count against the Vantage score. So somebody might be looking at their credit report and they may have only had, maybe they had 2 medical collections and then 1 charge off, right? And so they have 2 medical collections that are paid off now. And so on their Vantage Credit Karma, that thing might be 30 or 40 points higher, not only because the algorithm is a little different, but because they're actually somewhat rewarded for those paid collections, where in FICO, you can actually go the opposite way. You pay a collection off that can drop your scores because of the update of data last activity, but they're absolutely still factored in. So long answer, but they're different scoring algorithms and they count different aspects of the scoring or of the credit profile.
And that's mycreditguy.com, mycreditguy.com for the people that's listening. You can always go check us out on our YouTube page, on tieandhoodieshow.com to see Sam himself. I know we had just spoke about a provision where we said and I like what you said as far as, hey, we tell them after they pull their credit, hey, you can go fix it yourself or we can fix it for you. Can you give us a little teaser without giving up too much information or detail? What's something that you can do that they can't do for themselves? Because I know you have the pocket full of tricks. Just a little teaser. I don't want you to go into too much detail or.
I'll tell you this, it's mostly keeping it organized, being efficient, and knowing what to do, when to do it. So like, for instance, most clients, they're going to go online, they're going to pull their credit report, and then they're going to dispute online. When you dispute online, you're giving up some consumer rights that you don't even realize you're giving up by checking those boxes. And you're sending those disputes in on the constraints or within the constraints of the actual credit bureaus themselves. Like, you're disputing through the bureaus. What we do is we start with a detailed interview, figure out what a client disagrees with and why. And then we compose letters that are going to be legally basically binding, and they're going to build in some protections for the clients where if they're verified, then some other things can happen down the road. So what we would do is start off by corresponding with each of the 3 bureaus. Remember, just because you have one negative item, if it's on 3 bureaus, that's 3 sets of correspondence that need to go out, right? So now it can get a little more complicated. So we're sending the correspondence. Sometimes we're sending it certified. There's different addresses that it needs to be sent to, different legal departments that it needs to be sent to in some cases. But again, a client, to tell you the truth, if they want to spend the time and they know what they're doing, they can do that part. Now, what is different about us is once those results start coming back in, most credit repair companies, what they would do is just dispute over and over and over and over again until you quit paying them. What we do is we have a built-in debt management or a debt resolution team is what we call it. And they'll get on the phone for you and negotiate these debts and get settlements and pay for deletions and things like that. You get one dedicated credit coach throughout the entire process that teaches you about credit, that explains your results, that explains what you need to be doing along the way. So if there is somebody out there that's like, I know everything about credit, I know I have a 540, but I know everything about credit, I'm just not using any of it, they could go off and do their own thing, but we keep it nice, neat, organized. We know what we're doing, and we guarantee our turn times and results. So what we can get done in probably 3 months, most people are usually fumbling around with for 6, 9 months. And then sometimes they shoot themselves in the foot. You know, they don't know what to say, when to say it, or they pay something off before they should have, when they should have negotiated first. So just stuff like that, just the intricacies of the industry where we're making sure to protect people. And over 80% of our clients save more money by using us than they even spend on us.
I mean, so you're basically telling us, I mean, just to kind of reiterate a little bit, is you can either, do your dry cleaning yourself, or you can take it to a dry cleaner, right?
Yeah, it really is. I don't want to claim to be a lawyer. I mean, I'm not like a lawyer. I'm not a doctor, but I've done this for, about 20 years. We have 70 people on staff. Like, we know we're a well-oiled machine that gets people ready for home loans. Your credit is very important to me. I understand that it's important to you too, but I know what I'm doing and I'm not experimenting, So when most people, this is important, they're trying to get hundreds of thousands of dollars, right, to get a home loan. We can't mess around with that. We got to get that thing done right the first time.
So is it always best for people to go to your website, mycreditguy.com, or is there a phone number if somebody decides to call? What phone number can they call?
866-726-7339. 866-726-7339.
So that's 866-726-7339, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, one more question. I see this for me. I mean, as a mortgage person, I see this on people's credit reports sometimes. I see an Experian boost. As you've seen the commercial on TV, John Cena with a little cow, and people are saying they get charged to boost their credit, but it doesn't do that much. But what it also does is it adds a liability on their credit report that can stop them from qualifying when it comes to debt to income ratio. What's your advice on that? I mean, we don't have too much time. What's your quick advice on that?
I just don't see a good point in having it on there right now. It just is not the risk reward for it doesn't pay off, and it doesn't do what people think it does. A lot of times what I am having to do right now is help clients go through and get those removed so that they can move through underwriting with certain lenders. So maybe it's a good idea in theory, but the execution of it and what it actually does for credit, it's just not there yet. I do not recommend doing those self-reported utilities.
Hey, you heard it right here from the mycreditguy.com. Mycreditguy.com. Mr. Sam Parker, he's a credit specialist, been helping many, many, many people just like you. There's always somebody listening that needs to fix their credit. I know we all think we got the answer. We can fix it ourselves. What he's basically saying is, hey, you can take 9 months to a year to fix it, and you can fix it yourself, or you can come on home and get this done in a couple months with some people that know what they're doing. So me, just getting into real estate, and getting my real estate license, man. I'm doing my best to help people and kind of coach them up. You're going to be my number one guy. If Andrew doesn't mind, I'll throw everybody your way, because I'm trying to help people fix their credit, and you can only try to tell them so much. And I got to send them to the credit specialist, mycreditguy.com, because I can't do it no more, Andrew.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. I mean, we have a lot of our audience who they've made mistakes, just like you and I, Travon, have made mistakes in the past. Yes, we have great FICOs now. We're enjoying it, but it's unfortunate. I mean, I'll let you close this out, Sam. Before I even go in there, I want to put up your number again: 866-726-7339. 866-726-7339. mycreditguy.com. mycreditguy.com. One thing I'm going to say here real quick is that, the subject of credit is a moving goalpost. Things happen in life, right? Things always happen in life. So you're going to get the last word here. People are listening. I mean, what's your advice? Become a coach here for a second rather than a credit expert. What's your advice if you're having issues with your credit? You don't know where to turn to. You had all these student loans. I mean, I had somebody who had $500,000 in student loans. I'm like, hey, are you a doctor? No, I'm not. I'm like, why not? Well, giving all the money for free, I took it. I'm like, so what's your advice on how the best way to manage credit? I mean, what's your close it out here for us?
Yeah, I would say this. Bad things happen to good people, and good people make bad choices. Okay. That doesn't mean that that's where you need to be. That's just where you are today. This is one of those areas in your life where you can say today it's going to be different. Tomorrow, my life changes because I'm going to learn about the credit scoring algorithm. I'm going to set my bills up on auto pay. I'm going to start setting funds aside to take care of the things that have already, happened. I'm going to sign up for a free credit consultation to at least see what's going on. There are immediate action items that this is not one of those things. This is not a diet that needs to wait until next Monday. This is something, right? Because we all do that. We all say, oh, well, here's when I'll start it. This thing can start tomorrow. And the thing is that you could be in a significantly different place with your credit within 30 days, within 60 days, within 90 days. You can have incremental increases in that small amount of time just by changing your strategy. So the sooner that somebody, even if they're not happy with the way credit's gone in the past, the sooner that you quit feeling like this is something that's happened to you and rather something that you need to learn to manage, even when the bad times happen, you are going to feel a sense of power. And then watch what happens. Once you get that score up to 680, 700, or even less than that, but once you get it up that high and you're walking into a room with your head held high because you're wondering who's going to get your deal, that will start in motion everything else, where you're going to get a little bit of a swagger. You're going to realize that you can do this in other areas of your life. So start here. Let this be the first thing, and be that person in your family that ends the cycle, and that that 2 generations from now, they're going to say, you know what? My family used to not be that great with money until my great-grandpa, until my great-grandma did this, and then they taught my grandma, and then they taught my mom, and she taught me. And ever since then, we've been millionaires. Wouldn't that be a cool story to tell?
Hey, that's what we're here for. The Ty and Hoodie Show, each and every Sunday morning, 6:30 to 7 a.m. Once again, the website you want to go to is mycreditguy.com, mycreditguy.com. Tell them the Ty and Hoodie Show sent you. Get a free consultation. Hey, K-Day listeners, this is what we're here for. Thank you, Mr. Sam Parker, for helping us out to get this message to the people today, to the city of Los Angeles, and as well as all our YouTube viewers. Thank you again. K-Day listeners, we'll see you guys next week.
Hey, do you have valuable information that can help your community? Okay. And you'd like to be a guest? Hit us on our social media.
Do it now. The Ty and Hoodie Show is sponsored by ICCLending.com. For real estate service, please go to ICCLending.com.